Welcome, everyone.
We're here.
We are surrounded by the holidays.
Okay, so
how are you liking that silver? Oh, and we've already lost Nick.
What?
There he is.
What?
Now he's back.
What are you talking about?
You spun and froze, and then you came back.
Oh, I'm like, what are you talking about? I was
about to ask you how you like the silver tree, but oh, what's going on, CT? Now I try to go through the chat as the intro is going. There's so many people. Happy Hanukkah. Casey, what's going on? Good to see you. A lot of Silly Club members in the house. So that's always a good thing.
It is.
Did anyone get a commercial for diapers? What was it? I you know what? I can't remember when I set up the monetization or the AdSense or whatever it's called. The AdSense, that's what it's called. And I say like what's your channel about? A retro gaming game. You think you get like a game trailer or something, but nope, diapers here. Just shows we're full of. No, I'm kidding.
It's because you did retro gaming. They're assuming everybody that follows you has kids.
You know what? You're probably right. 68 Camaro in the house. You've been watching a lot of Blippy video. Oh, see, it could be just personalized.
Oh, well, there's that too.
Yeah. Oh my God! So this is going to be a fun subject today because we're going to talk about our top 5 retro consoles. I think we were going up to PS1 generation, I guess, and see,
Mike and I are going to be annoyed with you because it cuts out one of ours right off the top.
Well, which one did you guys go to? Xbox? I guess we can go to Xbox.
Actually, I was going to say Dreamcast. Dreamcast
Well, Dreamcast came out before.
Dreamcast came out before the original Xbox.
Okay, then we'll go Dreamcast.
That makes sense. Is 1999. Xbox, I want to say, is 2001.
Yeah, because PS2 and Xbox were the same generation. So I'd say we cut it off right there. And even for the poll, so we got a poll going. Your favorite retro memory, like Christmas or holiday, whatever you woke up, or for that holiday you got this console. I put early consoles, so I got Atari, NES, of course, and television, and I can't remember. Oh, and
no surprise
Commodore.
On a show called Amico Forever, the Intellivision is higher than any of
Isn't
the
that
others.
weird? Isn't it weird to be in there? Right?
It's rigged, sir. It's rigged.
But yeah, so right now on the poll, it is what is your favorite Christmas retro memory, or like I said, holiday one. I probably should say that. And it was getting an NES at 27%, getting in television 42%. Go figure on the show.
TJ Ferrer says, "Where's my Odyssey 2?"
They only let me do 4. We'll have to get it on a different one.
TJ, on that note, I'm
Commodore
trying to work on this tomorrow and part of Friday. I do have a Magnavox Odyssey 2 video coming out. I'm about 8 or 9 minutes into editing it. It's about 13 minutes total. So I'm hoping to be able to finish it. That's partially why I was so under the gun trying to get things out on the Geek Historian channel this week, was because of that. Because I spent a lot of my weekend working on that, thinking I had more time, and I didn't. Oops.
You never received a console for Christmas. Now, I'd say the only console that I remember getting as a kid for Christmas was the NES.
I can't remember if I got one for Christmas now.
All my friends had it.
Did I get a console for Christmas? Well, I got a Wii for Christmas. My wife got me a Wii.
Well, that's pretty cool. No, really, I think most of the stuff was off season. We got our Intellivision we got in the summer. My dad picked it up. That was our first. We got this. For that, I played Atari at both my neighbors had Atari that lived across the street from me. My cousins around the corner had Atari. And literally I was playing Midnight Magic in pole position. And my buddy's like, for Christmas I got a Nintendo. I'm like, what's that? And then we played Super Mario Brothers and I was blown away. And, and Kung Fu and all the, those early games. And yeah, I don't know, man. So eventually the following Christmas, I ended up getting an action set No, I think it was actually 2 Christmas. It took me like a couple years. Because I got the one that the first one I ever got had the power pad, and it had World Class Track Meet, Duck Hunt,
Okay.
and Super Mario. So it had
You got the power pack or whatever it was for the NES, right?
Yeah, I think I still have the. Did I get rid of? I hope I didn't get rid of that cartridge. I always
because they had two. They had like I want to say 3 offerings at launch, if my memory serves. Now,
yeah, this was
I
like
done
the
any
third
research on what they offered.
anyway. This was like
They
the
had
third
the base.
one.
They had the base unit.
Yeah,
it was just that with the 2 controllers, and then they had the Duck Hunt one. That came
the action set.
They came with the Zapper. That was the action set, and then you had the Rob the Robot one. That came with everything from the action set plus Rob. And then later on, they had one with the power pad that came with like track and field or something like that.
Yeah, it was World Class Track Meet with the power pad, Duck Hunt with the Zapper gun, and then Super Mario. And I remember because I wish I still. It's weird. I have about 1 million Mario Duck Hunts, and for some reason, do I have it down here? Well, anyways, it was like a cartoon drawn triple pack game on one cartridge. And it had like a cartoon drawing of Super Mario Brothers, a cartoon drawing of Duck Hunt, and then it wasn't like the little normal cover art that it had, and then it had the World Class Track Meet. But it was
right.
I
think I remember seeing the pack that you're talking about, but I don't. I never actually had the power pad. It wasn't one of those that I got.
Oh, it was.
Never had Rob either. I kind of want Rob just for a display at this point.
Oh, I'd love to have that. Isn't that crazy how it, I mean, like we all know, it's just very insane pricing on all this retro stuff right now.
I think some of it, I think I've seen one for like 70 or 80. And here's the thing. I don't care if it works, right? I just want it as a display piece. I don't care if it's a functioning Rob the Robot. I just want it to look like it's in decent shape.
Oh, yeah, it's not like you're really going to go and play Gyromite and set up.
I'm not going to go play Gyromite and Stack Up. I'm not going to go play those. I mean, I'm sure somebody loves those games, but I just don't have any nostalgia for them.
No, I mean, we got, like I said, we're doing these retro nostalgia, 5 consoles, your top 5 games, and then your honorary mentions, and we'll see. We're waiting on Rab, obviously.
Rab's a little behind. Mike said he might show up. Retro Dude Carl says he got a Atari 2600, 7800, TurboGrafx 16,
Turbo Express,
Sega Genesis 32X, and Turbo Express for Christmas. Dude, you kept getting the hookup.
You got that was a good Christmas every year. I saw the thing. Shelf collecting, yeah. Well, I was saying this earlier.
Because he feels the same way about the Power Glove that I do about Robin. Honestly, I wouldn't mind having a Power Glove. I've seen those. I've seen Power Gloves where they make them into lamps, which I think is kind of cool because the glove stands up.
Oh, yeah.
And then you've got the bulb and the lampshade and all that just above it. If you put like a really cool like lampshade on it, I think that would be a dope use for that. I've seen NES zappers and the controllers used as a base for a lamp as well, which I think is also a neat idea. It's kind of a cool way of reusing those kind of iconic pieces that maybe don't function anymore, right? Just to make them into either a lamp or a piece of art. I've seen people do exploded versions of the Game Boys and put those in frames and stuff like that. I think those are cool looking.
Yeah, like there's a couple things. Like I was saying for the new year, like I used to have a bunch of stuff framed here in artwork, but it's like in this little space of, unless I do like something over in this part of the room, I think this is all going to be turning to shelves, consoles all displayed, and games below. So that's everybody's got to look forward to. Not that anyone cares, but
I'm sure it'll look cool when you get it done.
Yeah, I just want to, because like we were saying before we went live, the cat is literally trying to break down the door right now. He's jumping to turn the doorknob, and he'll eventually turn it. And then he'll come down here, walk over the keyboard, and shut the stream down. He is a maniac. He tore half my tree down to the point where
our new cat. We've only had her for like a couple of days now. She's just now kind of starting to get used to
the rhythm around the house. You think there's a pit bull up there? You think there's a pit bull trying to knock it? There's literally like he's like scratching and pounding against the door, and then he jumps, and then he eventually gets the doorknob to open, and then he comes down and is like, "Hey, man." and then he jumps on here and steps on the keys and ruins my editing. Yeah, dude, Xeno. Yeah, some broken ones just to throw them up on the wall. Well, I was even saying like putting up I got like a PC Engine Duo R. I've got a my N64, my PlayStation 2, my Wii, my television system 3, my original Atari, I just stuff that like I was telling Nick earlier, some people like this, some people don't, but I like to if I'm going to do a game stream on a game that I already have, or like say I want to play Fatal Fury on the Genesis, well, obviously I'm going to emulate it in HDMI 3 if it emulates fine, instead of trying to plug in a Genesis through an RF, through an adapter, through the, capture card, or through a VCR, or whatever you got to do for some of these old things, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run it off a Pi or something to talk about or play a game. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest, I'm a shelf collector. I do like having the physicals. I really do like having a physical game on a shelf. But it's also because I've collected them over the years,
Yeah, I don't have anything against physical collections. It's just I collect so many things right now that I don't really want to allocate the physical space to it. Plus, I've gotten into it so late that everything's so expensive. By the way, we've had Cat Fighter mentioned in chat. But
you're talking about that game that has the felines fighting?
There you go. Okay. It was mentioned a few times, so I figured they were due.
Oh, I'm testing some good stuff right now. That's all I can really say. It's just a silly good time, I'll tell you that. Oh, there he is. What are you doing, Mike? You're supposed to be on here talking about your favorite memories.
Yeah,
what are you working out at the gym? There's no reason to be doing that. Come on. Nobody works out at the gym. No one stays
I apparently skipped leg day again today.
I skipped everything day. No, I really do. I really do need to go back in there.
No, I've got to get more regular about it. I don't know. I've been in a funk lately, so I haven't really been pushing to really go back into the heavy lifting. DJ says gyms suck. Mike says I'll be on shortly. Okay.
Unless it's a beard. Now that would be something. You curl 6 packs, and if you do so many, then you get so much off for your beer. Or so, I don't know.
I feel like you just end up with a Pabst in each hand.
I'll do a Blue Moon in each hand.
Isometrics, they're important.
Yeah, curling kegs, exactly.
And we've had a protest that the Sega Genesis needs to be added to the poll.
Rhea.
We didn't. Oh, hey, Rhea.
They only allow 4 on the poll, so
we also didn't go above 8-bit. So
it was literally the early consoles.
We would have had Master System on there before Genesis if that was the case, because I think we were sticking with
we were going
second
up to
and third gen consoles. For the most part.
Yeah, it was second and third, which it couldn't. You can only pick 4. I don't understand why they just do that. Why it's just 4 for a poll. You'd think they'd at least let you put whatever you want.
I would think 5. But
hello,
makes
sir.
Logical sense, but whatever.
Hey,
there's Rab.
Happy festivities. Good.
You know what?
How is everybody?
We're doing good. We're very festive today.
Chuck's cat's trying to break down the door into the basement so he can wreck the stream.
Yeah, he's gonna walk all over this, and if I try to pull him off,
we were stalling for time till you showed up.
It's like it happens.
Luke, it only let me do 4. So we'll try to do more next week. So I was thinking next week will be unless we want to do.
Sounds like it's not a legit poll, Luke.
It's not a legit. I was thinking next week maybe
it was rigged from the get go, sir.
Yeah,
we'll do like PS1. We'll do like PS1 and beyond. For stuff like that. Because I know someone. I think it was Amico Chan said the AI. My first console was PS1 that I got on Christmas.
Hey,
I was like, oh yeah, I understand. He
Yeah,
is
we got to do like a
he's not actually
brackets.
playing.
Like if you can only do 4, then you got to do like series of 4, put them in brackets, and then have them compete against one another. Like
Actually, that's an interesting idea that we could do.
Could spend like an
it's
hour
kind of
just doing
stealing from like
polls.
Go Game Go, but do like tiered brackets where we go through different consoles and figure out which one won between the two, and then go to the next one. That feels like it's totally ripping off Go Game Go, though.
Yes, it does.
Hey, good evening, best Christmas gaming memory. Getting Atari 2600 Donkey Kong, being super excited on the 25th and royally pissed on the 26th. There's a couple Donkey Kongs out there that aren't so perfect. I'll tell you that.
LegoVision one's pretty solid.
I don't know when I was a kid, and any version of any game where I was not pumping quarters at the arcade was a win. So even with the green cloud, you're good.
Retro dude Carl Young has 32 consoles hooked up to 2 TVs. So look, back when I lived in California,
before you go any further, I just need Retro dude to take a moment and make sure his house is on file with the local fire department.
Yeah, you got that thick copper wire. So,
and hopefully he has at least 3 power strips to be able to power his Genesis at all times.
Of course. All right, you were saying before you interrupted, back when you were in California.
So we had the old school entertainment center, and we messed up around with the shelves, and because I had a bunch of retro stuff, and even back then probably wasn't. It's probably more stuff that's retro now, but we had 2 CRT TVs side by side, and then I forgot because we had I think it was 2 19 inchers or 2 20 inchers, whatever they were, maybe bigger. I can't remember. I remember how we did it, but we had our original Xbox hooked up, PlayStation 1, Sega Genesis, and television, Atari, and NES, all hooked up on. And then the one TV was for watching cable. The other one, we had all these. Oh my God, the way it was hooked up was through VCRs and clips and everything was it was great because when the ones that had RF, you just had the NES RF, and you would just kind of daisy chain those off each other.
7 of them hooked all together.
But 32 is insane, but that's awesome too. I'd love to see
I'm about to be able to have more stuff hooked up, I think, in the next coming weeks. We bit the bullet and decided to buy a new TV.
Thanks,
finally,
sweet tender.
Oh, hey, sweet. Because we have enough stuff that will do 4K now that I'm we really should have a 4K TV. I'm not going to dump money on an 8K TV yet because there's literally no medium for it right now. So I'm not going to do that. But a 4K, sure. Let's get a nice 4K TV. So we're going to get that installed downstairs. So we're probably going to move the 2 consoles that'll do 4K down there and the Apple TV and all that stuff and spend most of our time down there. But what I want to do up here where we're sitting now is to hook up a bunch of the other consoles that I haven't been able to keep connected. The Series X almost completely replaces the Xbox One, so I don't see any reason to have that hooked up. But maybe a 360, the Wii U, the Wii could move up here, that kind of thing. Have those. Well, the Wii doesn't even really need to be connected unless I want GameCube games, because the Wii U will do everything it does. But get a bunch of those hooked up so I can have some of the older consoles. Maybe have the Evercade XP hooked up more primarily all the time, so that I can use that more rather than just plugging it in ad hoc when I want it. That kind of stuff.
Radical Gamer Guy with a $5 super chat says, I'd like to bury the hatchet with you guys. I don't want to take negativity into the new year. Wish you all the best. Sure you can figure out who this is. It's a mystery. It's a mystery Radical Gamer dude, but I've seen you in here before. So absolutely, man. It's all good. We don't take sides on here. It's all good, man.
Yeah.
But I thank you so much for watching and being cool. Like I said, hoping to see this system out. I know a lot of people don't believe it or whatever, but thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm holding no grudges. Just don't let me know where the hatchet is buried. We're good.
Yeah, as long as it's not.
Well, it could be in your back. It's a good holding place.
Got ET and Pac-Man 2600. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. Okay. ET and Pac-Man for the 2600. I played ET when it came out because my cousins had got it for Christmas, and I went over there and played it. And other than falling in the, of course we all remember falling in the pit. Other than that, I didn't think it was terrible of a game. They had more time. Obviously,
I think a lot of people have figured that game out since then. So I think it has a better impression now than it did back in the day.
Yeah, Pac-Man. It was
was
just Pac-Man. It was just like a Atari Pac. But then when Ms. Pac-Man came out on the Atari, to me that blew me away as far as how much better it was than like what were they thinking with original Pac-Man. Completely different game and way better.
And I didn't think original Pac-Man was that awful. Yes, it was blue. You know, Todd Fry had his artistic decision to make it blue. That's fine. There was a ton of space games, a ton of black on the Atari. So, you know, as a kid, it looked good enough. It wasn't arcade quality, but nobody expected arcade quality on most of those games anyway. Yeah, I thought it was fine. ET was frustrating and falling down the pits, but you know, it poured over the manual, and it was interesting going and looking for the parts and you know, doing something right for the first time on ET was a pretty big deal. So you find fun in those games. You know, when you only have 3 games at a point, you're going to play them until you figure them out. Yeah.
It's so weird
I think that was all of us when we're younger. I think that's something that kind of gets lost now because you can buy so many games now for between anywhere between $2 and $15, right? Like you can go on Steam and for like $50, you could probably come out with like 10 games. Easy, if you're careful with like your money on it, right?
But it's that way
and to just have tons of stuff to play for like $50.
It's that way with everything. I mean, you don't have to go through an album to find like the 1 or 2 songs that are good and learn to like all the other stuff that is like not the hits that are playing on the radio anymore. You just go on Spotify, go on Apple Music and get the stuff that you want. You don't have to wait for wait for the week and watch garbage shows leading up to your show to watch the show that you're waiting to find out what happened last week. You can just stream and binge and watch the stuff that you like. You can play the games that you like and everything is kind of like as you want it. And God, when we were younger, we would have thought that was perfect. That's all we want. Just give us the stuff. We don't want to wade through the garbage.
You're right.
But I kind of think we lose a little bit of perspective. Like maybe wading through a little bit of garbage wasn't the worst thing in the world for us. Maybe that kind of helped us to appreciate the stuff that is really stand out, the stuff that really sticks. I think I just think some of the instant gratification of some of that stuff is maybe taking a little bit off of the glimmer off of it.
It does. Like the anticipation of stuff. Like I like when I don't mind if a streaming service does a weekly, like drops an episode weekly. It kind of brings it back to like that anticipation.
Yes.
You know, you talk about it for a week and what's going to happen. Because when you just jump right into I love a binge too, especially to catch up on something. But I know Nick wanted to say something. I just wanted to call out Casey Nidell, a Silly Club member, promoting the Silly Club with the $5 super chat. So thank you so much. He's the coolest Silly Club member. Look at that with his shades and his crazy emojis. Thank you so much. But Nick, you had something to say on that.
I was just going to say, even some of the garbage that we wade through, is you kind of go back and you look at it a little bit more objectively. Like the more I kind of see people play through something like, say, Jaws or Nightmare on Elm Street, I kind of look at those and I go, those actually kind of look a lot more interesting now than what I would have given them credit for back in the day. Back in the day, I would have just passed on those, and even up until like the mid 2010 or something like that, I probably looked at those and been like, no, you're not ever going to see me playing that. Now I kind of go, maybe that kind of seems like kind of neat. Now that I sort of understand it a little better, that seems kind of fun, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of that goes back into it as you go back with a fresh set of eyes as you've gotten a little bit older and not necessarily wiser, just older. And kind of look at some of these things again, right?
And like the ones you mentioned are like the LJN games are supposed to be so terrible.
Right, they're LJN games. And Jaws is just a straight LJN game, but if you look at Nightmare on Elm Street, I think it was Nightmare on Elm Street. That was made by Rare.
That was a great game. That was one I actually have like complete in box still. That was one of my favorites. Jaws, I got in a trade with a friend. I got Jaws and Breakout, and I think I traded him one of my Marios at the time, which I eventually got back. But I still have Jaws and Breakthrough. But Jaws to me, and I know it's annoying because it's kind of a grind back and forth. But you know, when I first won it, I was like, oh man, I really like this game. So I can jump back into that again. I just want to answer this really quick. Sweet and Tender says, someone told me there's proof of the original version of your intro where you say everybody's having a Coke. I never say anybody's having a Coke. So I did a video on this showing the spot, playing the version. Also telling people at my label not to copyright strike me. Every it says everybody's gotta go back, but when it abruptly stops, it says everybody's gotta go, and it sounds like having a Coke, but it's not. I guarantee you, it's a song about going back in time, going back.
It's totally having a Coke.
It's not having a Coke because I am a Pepsi person.
Totally
All right.
having a Coke.
Person.
All right, we've got a new poll.
And a blue moon. Yes, it is not. We can do that. I think we should.
Yeah.
It gets me so heated.
Is anybody having an RC Cola?
Hey, I would do an RC Cola over a Coke. I'd have a tab over a Coke.
Yeah, we know.
But anyways, yes, I just wanted to say, like, there is a video on that if you look at my channel about the intro music, and I actually play the song and how the chorus goes. But yeah, it does sound like it if you put it in your head. But if you read the actual lyrics while it's playing, you're like, oh, is what it says. But anyways. Oh, Evil Streams in the house,
yes,
dude.
I already said welcome to him. You were very distracted saying other stuff, so
sorry.
But Evil,
welcome to. Thank you so much for becoming a silly member. You're a good dude, man. I hope you're doing well, man. I haven't seen you in a bit, but good to see you.
I've been hanging out on his channel every now and then. He's got some solid streams going on.
Oh, they're always funny.
He rages like I do. I can respect it,
especially on NES, like Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune or Jeopardy or something.
This is why I won't stream. I don't want that
BJC,
reputation.
we need an all turbo stream soon.
The true original was
$5.
All right.
We need it. Oh, dude, I would love that. If anybody wants to join me in a TurboGrafx 16 stream. Well, I am starting a.
I thought that was like a ColecoVision Turbo stream.
I am starting a new Intellivision show. It's gonna. I believe it's either gonna be Sunday early evening or early evening Fridays. I have to see how I can work this. Sunday may work out more, but there'll be more to come. I'm making a video on it, but. But Luke's Awakening with a 501. Look at that. Did a 501.
He wants to be that much more sillier.
He's that much more silly.
Yeah.
We have a silly
PG
race
Smith
now.
comes in with $20.
Oh my god.
Casey's still looking the coolest with those glasses though.
Yeah, Casey's got the cool glasses. No, Tab is made by Coke. And they're just going to end up bringing that back in a short run like Pepsi did Crystal Pepsi. Because they know they'll make a killing off the people that are crazy about it, signing petitions like me.
I never understood Crystal
It
Pepsi.
changed the lyrics.
It seems wrong.
Yeah, it's.
Oh my gosh! Sorry,
if Mountain Dew can do like every flavor and color under the sun that is natural or unnatural, or
Mountain Dew that just seems normal now because they're always
only
doing
dogs
that.
and spiders can see that particular color of soda. Then yeah, they can do Crystal Pepsi.
Well, all the saccharin really helps the muscles and really helps build strong bones. Oh wait, I'm sorry, it does the opposite, deteriorates them. Pepsi rules. You are right, Mr. Casey. Thank you. So, and a Silly Club member. He's a ride or die Silly Club member. Pepsi does rule. I would never say having a Coke. Dude, PJ.
Shadow for Dr. Brown.
And cheers to you, sir. Captain and Tab, otherwise known as a Tabton right about now. That was one of my favorites. Like when I was on a Captain Morgan kick, because like when I first found that out, I'm like, this is the most delicious thing in the world. This is rum. It doesn't even taste like it. And I feel like a pirate, and then I to mix it with Tab to have that awesome, amazing Tab taste. I just had one last night. I'm gonna be honest. I filmed my Christmas special and opened up the final tab and had it last night. I was scared to finish it. Like it's almost 2 years old, and I was like, it tasted the same. It foamed up really good after like being in my fridge for 2 years, and I was like, is this healthy? I'm like, and it was the thing that sucked.
Probably not.
The whole day.
But nothing about soda is healthy, sir.
I feel like we've been talking about drinking this last tab for 2 years. Like there's probably 17 episodes where you've talked about like I've opened up the last tab.
No, well, I had one final one because someone
needs to put together this montage. It's like I just drank my last like date stamp and stuff. Have you, sir?
A tab.
Where are you getting all this tab?
Thank you, PJ. Yeah, Moon Mist is really good. Root beer is awesome. Yeah, Fago Cola was one. I actually bought a 6-pack of Fago Cola today, so because I'm having.
I was gonna say that's more of a Michigan thing. I don't think I've ever actually seen a Fago Cola. I've heard you talk about it a lot.
Captain and I used to be
some
good
in like
friends.
upstate New York and like Western Pennsylvania as well.
Yeah, they should have it. Yeah, exactly, both of us. But it's more Midwest, East Coast. There's a few places towards the West Coast that has it. I think there's a lot. I think there's actually a lot more places now. I mean, back in the day, it was literally like a Midwest. I don't even know. I guess I'd have to look at a map. But they have like a few areas that had them because I know, if I'm not mistaken, the guy that used to own Fago moved to Florida, so then he opened up some more stuff and distribution down there. And then I think he got with National Beverages that does Shasta.
But they had like Knee-High and Shasta, so there's like no opening down there because Fago is
that's
all
what
like
I'm saying. But no, Shasta,
stores, right?
Shasta is part of National Beverages distribution. So what they did is I know, right?
Carbonated beverages forever, people.
Beverages forever. Show. That's our new show. It's our new show, guys. It's Beverages Forever.
Everybody having a fizzy lift and drink.
Otherwise called a Coke.
Original and Television's my favorite. TurboGrafx and Intellivision are pretty matched as my favorite consoles, but we're actually going to talk about our top favorite and our top 5 games for those, or top 5 consoles and our top games for each of those, and some honorable mentions. Oh, excuse me.
So where are we starting on this? Are we doing this kind of chronologically, or are we just doing like chaos?
John Alvarado says, I like soda water. Chapter 7, what's happening?
Love some too healthy for my own good, quite frankly.
I got some beer right here. I'm doing the Blue Moon today, Evil. Shasta. Sorry, catching up. Canadian Gamer. Haven't seen you in a bit. Good to see you.
What's up, Canadian?
Arcade Corner. All right. So, Proper 12. Nice. Yeah, Canada Dry versus Schweppes. Now we're getting into the alcohol versus... Now we're alcohol forever. No, not really. Because usually the next day you're like, I don't want anymore.
By hour 2, we get into tonics.
Canada Dry and Schweppes is not alcoholic, dude.
I'm doing Michelob. Forgive me, Father. Canada Dry is good with there's a Polish honey liqueur called Krupnik, and it's you do that with a little bit of I'm sorry, I'm mixing it up. That I like to do if it's chilled as a shot. There is Jack Daniel's Tennessee honey, or there's Wild Turkey American honey, was actually the original one. That mixed with Canada Dry ginger ale. Like I had to take a flight, which I hate flying, over to California, like I don't know, about 10 years ago, and that's when that first came out, all that honey stuff. And I was like, I need something. They're like, all we have is this honey liquor. I'm like, bring me 4 bottles of it. And I'm like, what do you have to mix? They're like, ginger ale. I'm like, perfect. And it became my favorite after that because I was feeling pretty good. Oh my goodness. Astro Smash Mondays. We're all playing the games now with our scores shown on the show. Who is ready to start playing? That's right, Casey. And thanks again, Silly Club member.
So is this open? Is for the scores on your show? Is this open for the general public? I know it's always been you and Jeff and.
Yeah, so Casey, well, we always like play the videos. So anyone that wants to submit, Casey had this idea, and I kind of pinned it on the last Astro Smash live stream. It's pinned to the top. Is whoever wants to play along with us, if you want to submit like a screenshot of your score, you could hit it up at DJC Game Studios, easy to remember, at Gmail. And the link is the email is pinned on the last Astro Smash live stream from Monday. But yeah, please send it. If you want to play along with us, I will pull that and we'll show it during the show and see if you've beaten us, which is probably not too hard, except Papa Pete. He's hard
Papa Pete's kind of a beast, man. Every time I see Papa Pete play, he's really good at this.
He's super beast on that, dude.
You gotta admit.
Yeah, so if anyone wants to get in on that, please let me know.
Coco's not gonna let him live that down if he's submitting a low score. So he knows what he's in for.
You're right. Oh my goodness. Let me catch up here, guys. Sorry. Is that the original? I was gonna say that's not
I feel like we need a new theme song. Papa Beast, Papa Beast.
Papa Beast, Papa Beast. But yeah, if anybody wants to play, please submit some scores. I would love to. Yeah, because I thought I did good on Shark this past week. I'm like, I'm killing it. I'm at like 35,000 sharks flying all over the place.
Papa Beast like 210,000.
Yeah, no, Papa Beast got. I think he got like 60,000, 60-some thousand.
That's what I say. Usually when they're competing against Papa Beast, you take whatever the highest score is and you multiply it by like 3.
Mm-hmm. You ain't kidding, man. Yeah, he is.
I just assume he's got like post-its of like zeros on wherever the score shows up on the game.
Yeah, it is kind of an honor system. You got to do like you got to agree on the difficulty, which we do for the most, except for the games that everything's usually disc speed that we use for television. You hit disc to start, which is usually the fastest, or the like a lock and chase. Like if you hit like 1, it's going to be like whoop, whoop, whoop. It's like really slow motion, and then you hit the disc, it's like whoop, 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 so.
Yeah,
you got to get the regular speed, I call it.
Yes, it's a silly karma system. If you feel like you need to go on like an easy speed, go for it.
Well, and stuff like that started to come back and
I don't think there's official
now, because there's all sorts of accessibility options being thrown into stuff, so people can play some of these games that they might not normally be able to make their way through. Like I was watching Rhea play Tunic, and I didn't realize one of the accessibility options almost turns off damage. And I'm like, wow, that's like.
Yeah, there's that many options.
So people can see it, but it feels so OP.
if one of these, most of these are just usually a speed option for most of the Intellivision stuff. And then if there's skill levels, we always start with 1. Like unless we like all agree to do a certain one. Because I think there was one, I forgot what game someone had us play. Oh my god! And it was like, you got to play this skill level with that going on. Oh no, it was Frog Bog. They're like, nope, you can't do fixed arc. You have to do control arc, and you control direction, and you control your own tongue.
The tongue, yeah.
And it was like we were flying all over, just falling into the bog every 2 seconds. It makes it challenging, but that was kind of a cool one where you had all those options. No, you can do an emulation. If you get one that emulates good, sometimes you can. Like I'll do it on my VS sometimes as well.
Chuck can only frog in the bog if he is like indefinitely extended tongue action going on.
I gotta have that extended tongue action. Is what we always call it here over here in the bog. Just started playing Halo.
Wow, you just started playing Halo. That's the original Halo. While I love that game, is a little rough to go back to because it's basically a corridor shooter. It's got some open area. It's got some
when it opens up,
mods.
it was shocking.
What I loved about it on the OG Xbox was the way the hard drive worked with that game, because I never felt like I had load time in that game. No. It felt like one big seamless game, which was amazing. I've yet to see that kind of layout since, really.
You know what though? Good for going back to the original Halo. I feel like there's so many games that are out there, and we're like, you haven't played Ocarina of Time, you haven't played, the original Halo, you haven't played, Last of Us. There's so many games you can go in any avenue and play 10,000 games and still miss out on like 20% of what people think you must play.
Well, so, that's like
if you're getting to something 20 years later, so what? There's
that's
everything's
like
out there.
I booted up Voodoo Vince, the remaster of that the other day, and I can't, like, over half the crowd that popped in went, I've never even heard of this game. I'm like, this is an OG Xbox game. I'm like, it's just an OG Xbox platformer game with like a fun little twist to it.
Yeah.
And so tons of people miss that. I thought that was a pretty common game back in the day, but apparently not.
80% of the people back in the day were on PlayStation 2. So.
Even among people who are Xbox, they're like, eh.
What did Xbox have? Like 24, 26 million people over its life?
Oh God, I don't know. I've done any hard numbers on it. It did pretty good for its first outing.
Yeah, and I would doubt
it had a solid showing.
I would doubt
clearly like
this game got more than like
I think,
half a million. Yeah,
I think it was slightly below the GameCube in sales. it might have pulled ahead towards the end.
I think it may have outpaced them, but I would doubt this game got more than like 500,000. So if nobody heard of it, there's a ton of them. I mean, there's a ton of like classic Xbox and Crimson Skies, and people are like, "What? What is that?"
Dude.
I love Crimson Skies.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, there's people that just have no experience with it.
Yeah.
The poll right now is locked in a tie. NES and television Atari all at 32%.
Oh,
The
nice.
Commodore computers at only 3%.
Ooh, NES just pulled ahead by 1%.
Oh, yep, 33 to 32 and 32. This is interesting. Only 60 votes in. Vote now. Oh my goodness.
So we should probably go to topic.
I love the
Yeah, that's
Commodore, but
exactly
it
what I was gonna
wasn't a
say.
Christmas
Nick-
memory for me.
Nick, why don't you start? Oh, with you have your FOP.
Your FOP.
top. I've literally had one blue moon, and your top 5 retro.
That's it.
Stream, you mean?
Yeah, if you want to start with your top 5 retro consoles and your top game for each of those, and then obviously
Okay.
throw in your honorable mentions as well.
Okay. I wasn't sure if we were doing like 5 games per console, if we were doing like.
I think
7
then we'd be here
consoles.
probably till New Year's, so I figure we'll just do one. We can do honorable mentions afterwards, but do like your console, your top favorite game,
Okay.
your next console top favorite, all 5, and then do your
Okay.
honorable at the end.
Okay. Probably my top console, not going in any kind of chronological order, would probably be the NES. I started with ColecoVision, which has an honorable mention on my list, but I don't have as many formative memories of that as I do the NES. That's where I really started kind of the most, I felt like. And that system kind of just blew my mind. So that's probably like one of my top ones. The OG Xbox is pretty big up there for going that far up. The Dreamcast is way up there
Very good one.
as far as like top consoles go.
Very underrated.
The
Well, I mean, not now.
SNES, because I was huge into RPGs at the time, is always way up there as far as consoles go. And then probably to wrap it up, just for like the sake of like being kind of quirky and weird, I'd probably end up going with the GameCube. I've always been a big Nintendo fan, right?
No, that's decent.
Well, GameCube I think is a little. Is GameCube in the scope of this? No, it's a little out of scope. GameCube's out of scope with this one, so
I don't know what the scope or rules were.
We were.
I think we were
gonna say-
stopping at Dreamcast, and GameCube came out after that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, you
I'd
could throw that.
probably
I mean,
I'd probably put the Genesis in there because I played it almost as much as I played my Super NES back in the day.
Yay.
Socks are the best. No.
Yeah, he sucks.
So now for you said you started with NES, correct?
That's
Yeah.
like 7 of your 8 Hanukkah presents.
So what is your top all-time NES game?
God,
That's a hard. I mean, I
that's
like to.
really hard.
You could do this as well. Like, obviously everybody likes Mario. We're not disdaining Mario. We're not saying it's the worst, but everyone's favorite is going to be Mario. Like besides Super Mario.
Mario is the worst.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Mario.
avoid
Did you-
like
guys?
the common ones. That are
Mario
ones that
is the worst.
do what?
There you go. He said it. He said it. I think Mario is or Luigi Mario may think differently.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna avoid the Mario games because all those are amazing. I'm gonna avoid the Zelda games because both of those are
like a
actually
Mario
really
and
good.
Zelda. So there's like a few, but like those are yeah. Exactly.
I would probably say avoiding those and going mostly third party. It's probably a close tie between probably 3 different games, which is a bit of a cop out. But I'd say Contra is in the lead by just a small margin because I think that's kind of a perfectly balanced game on the NES as far as difficulty and gameplay goes. Because there's always kind of a path through it once you kind of get a feel for it. It's a very smooth run and gun kind of game. Ninja Gaiden is kind of right up there, even though that game just drives me insane and has a few glitches on it, which is why it's not quite as high as Contra. And then, what was the third one?
Mega Dan in the house.
Dilly Dilly.
Dilly Club member. That's a separate.
Castlevania 2, which is.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
Castlevania 2 is an amazing game.
Excuse me.
Very confusing, very cryptic, but like an awesome change up for the formula of Castlevania. So those are the not counting like all the first party stuff, which is substantial and all phenomenal. Those are some of the ones. If you for a weird pick that I know a lot of people that we talk about it in our little clique that I know a lot of people never mess with, Adventure of Lolo is another great game.
You know, I always hear
love
about that. I think I may have dabbled into it like once, but I've never really sat down to play it. But it was supposed to be one of their biggest like platformers, and I never.
It's
even-
not a
not a
platform.
platformer.
I'm
It's a
sorry.
puzzle
It's a
game.
straight,
Puzzle.
Games,
it's a straight puzzle
okay,
game.
that's what- It's kind of like a Bubble Bobble Parasol Stars kind of thing, right? Rainbow Islands.
No, it's like pushing
No.
boxes and stuff. So like a
Oh, I
box
thought it was
soul
like a
sort of
one
game.
screen. I must be thinking. I thought it was
It
like
is
a
single
little
screen.
It is a single
Yeah,
screen,
that's
but you're
kinda what I meant,
basically
like,
trying to
kinda
figure
like-
out how to pick up all the little heart icons in the room
I
and
messed
then
that
pick up
one
the
up.
orb to get out of the room to go into the next room. But there's all sorts of like pitfalls and monsters and stuff like that in there that you have to contend with. So you have to figure out how to lay out the room so you can successfully grab everything and get out of the room.
Yeah. It's one of my
I might
favorite
have to-
series from HAL. I wish they'd go back to it, but it's been
They're hooked on Kirby.
left. Yeah. They have their cutesy
Hmm.
cutesy game.
So that's pretty cool. So you're gonna go with Contra would be your number one. You're saying?
Yeah, I'd say Contra's probably top.
Okay.
It's just such a clean game. Everything about it is super, super clean once you learn it. Like, and I like the fact that I pushed myself to do that on 1cc without the 30 lives code. It forced me to really appreciate that game more for what
Oh,
it
God,
was than
yeah.
I would have otherwise.
I think
And
that's
that's not bragging. That's like legit. Like I don't think I appreciated that game properly until I made myself do that.
What? So now we go into. I guess your next one in line would be. You said Coleco. Did you say ColecoVision?
I had that one in as an honorable mention, but I had like Super NES, Genesis, Dreamcast, and Xbox.
So
in
Super
there.
NES. What would be your top one on that?
The top one on the Super NES, I would probably say Link to the Past. Actually, no, we're not going with that. We're not going with those. Sorry, that's straight up Zelda property. You know what? Let's go with something weird. Let's go with ActRaiser. That is a quirky, weird title by
What's it
Square.
called?
ActRaiser.
ActRaiser.
I don't think I've ever played that.
It's a fairly tough game on the platforming side, but it combines like Sim City almost with a platforming action game. And
Okay.
the reason that works is because you come down, you have to fight off like a monster at the beginning of the stage, right? So you go through a platforming section, you basically possess the statue as like a deity, go through, fight the boss, and then you're in control of this town. So you help your followers grow crops and do other things, and they'll give you various different gifts or technology that they've developed that you can then take to other towns, right? And after you've gotten them so far, another deity will come up that will challenge you again and try to destroy the town. You have to deal with that. Then you move up to the next society, right? And you get them all kind of interacting and trading with stuff. It's a really cool concept and a really adventurous concept for a game that I very rarely have seen done, if at all, since. It's just a really cool idea.
Yeah, and there was a whole wave of them that came out at the time. There's like that. There was Populous, just a bunch of those kind of god games where you defend your little tribe of people, and I love that they combined that platforming element to like break it up. I just thought it really, really stood out, and that was an early Super Nintendo game. I think that came out within the first year.
Yeah, it was pretty early. It's kind of clunky to go back to and play now, but it's definitely worth trying the experience. I think it's a very cool game.
Yeah,
And then you
Go in
got
with an open mind.
You got Genesis. What was your favorite on Genesis?
I want to say probably my favorite on that one's probably Phantasy Star 2.
So you're going into the role play is you're big into that role play. Which is cool.
around the time that Genesis and the Super Nintendo came out,
That's on my
I was
Tinder
huge
profile.
into RPGs. So almost every game that Square dropped, with the exception of Chrono Trigger, I had on the Super Nintendo. I had Phantasy Star 1, 2, not 1. 1 was on the Master System. I had 2 and 3 on the Genesis, along with Sword of Vermilion and any
Super
others I could probably get my hands on. I was huge into RPGs.
Yeah, I liked the Yeast games on Turbo Graphics. That was like my first experience, because I always used to avoid RPGs that were like, I don't want to think and have to use things and grab things and grind to get this. But then I kind of appreciated a few because of Turbo Graphics PC Engine. It kind of turned me on to a few of those and made me understand how fun they could be at getting into the adventure, talking to people, learning where to get stuff, how to grind to get your experience up. and now I kind of like them more. But as like a younger kid, I just like, oh no, I don't even want to. Oh, what is this? Maps and potions? No thanks.
Yeah, see, I was really big into them. I've tapered off on them a little bit on the turn-based ones as I got a little older, but it's so easy and fun to go back and play those. I'd say probably honorable mentions on that one. There's a couple of them because there's a lot of really good Genesis stuff out there. For more action, I think the Ghostbusters game on there is probably the best Ghostbusters game that I've played before the 360 one.
Which one was that? The Genesis
Someone
one?
hasn't played the Commodore 64 version.
I've not played the Commodore 64 version or the Famicom version of Ghostbusters 2 either, which I heard was quite good.
As far as people are saying,
go kidnap that baby, Vigo.
Big, bring John or Phil on. I say the only if we get official announcements, it's gonna have to be coming from Phil. John's just he's not he doesn't make the announcements or
he's our chief technical officer, so I don't think he's really in the position to make that announcement.
I'm hoping we can hear something soon, but that's up to Phil. That's his thing. Yeah, Ghostbusters 2 on Famicom.
I've heard really good things about it. I think I've seen somebody play it a few times. I've never grabbed it to try to play it. I heard very good things.
That's what it is. I was going to say, if I owned it, I would have played it.
Make a note. Go emulate it.
Yeah, I'll throw it up. My Pi probably has it. But okay, so then we got Genesis. So then then you said GameCube.
I think we went Dreamcast and then Xbox.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Dreamcast and Xbox. So you
Dreamcast. I'm going to go with Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I had so much fun playing that with a buddy of mine in college. We went back and forth for hours on that, making like goofy teams, like shortest team possible, fattest team possible. We had outlier characters that were banned unless we got like really pissed off at the other person. And then you knew you were in trouble when you brought out that lineup of characters. We had a lot of fun with that game on there. And there's a ton of good stuff on there as well.
Oh, Reddit Ghostbusters NES thought it would look like Genesis Ghostbusters magazine.
Oh, no, it did not.
It's like the worser version of, like, you had like the Commodore 64, then you had the Master System, fairly good. And they're like, how can we make it worse?
Yeah.
Thus, the NES version of Ghostbusters.
The NES version of Ghostbusters is cryptic, confusing, and doesn't play very well.
Yeah. Evil, this is called a life lesson, or what keeps therapists employed. So
yes.
I rented Ghostbusters for the NES once.
Casey is the super club member. Look at this. Casey and PJ, you guys are just awesome, man. Look at that.
They're
another $1.99. Please make sure you smash the like button with the shades, with its cool dash shades. Oh man, thank you so much. Yeah.
I think Xbox was last, and for that, I'm going to go with Crimson Skies. I've been playing through
the original Xbox Crimson Skies. Yeah. Now for Dreamcast, so when I told my whole family, and I know this is you're talking, but I just want to mention that.
Go ahead, dude.
On Dreamcast, because it's not in my thing. So I ended up getting a Dreamcast right when it started like getting cut in half. Like everything, I forgot. I think I literally got it for $79.99. And then I picked up a WWF Royal Rumble, which was like almost, I think it was fairly arcade perfect. And then they had obviously Mortal Kombat and stuff like that. I had, and then
Mortal Kombat Gold was very good on.
That's what it was. Mortal Kombat Gold. And then I had which was basically trilogy kind of enhanced or had some extra people, or I can't remember exactly. It's been so long. But the Royal Rumble, WWF Royal Rumble was really cool. And then I keep saying Ash versus Evil. It's Evil Dead. I think it's All Hail to the King or Boomstick or so. I forgot what it was. It was.
I wasn't into Evil Dead at the time, so I think I skipped that. Like I never got heavy into wrestling games.
Resident Evil, where you would walk, you'd walk your map, and then when you went off screen, it would just change screens, and you'd be walking from that side. So it kind of played like the first kind of Resident Evil.
Gotcha.
Very cool looking. I mean, for the time, it was ahead of its time, and that's why I just was like, "Wow, this is amazing!" Fistful of Boomstick. That's what it was called. Yes. Tab. I'm an NES Ghostbusters. Hey, I played it, man. I have the NES Max to go up them 22 flights of stairs, and lay that ghost food everywhere.
I'm a big proponent of like what you like. I've seen people who played NES games that I didn't like, and they made them look fun. I've gone back and tried them and had more fun with them than I expected. I have not gone back and tried the Ghostbusters game on the NES. I have much more fond memories of the Genesis one, which, while not perfect, I still have a lot of fun with it. The 360 one, I think, is probably the best one of the games that I've played, which is pretty limited in scope. The NES, the Genesis one, and then the 360 one are primarily the ones that I've played. I haven't done the Commodore one. I haven't done the Famicom one.
Commodore,
because there were a couple on there as well that I have not played.
I found a thing that emulates it fairly good. You still got to kind of pull up the keyboard here and there to, I wish they just moved that out of the emulation, unfortunately, and just have buttons. But I understand on certain things. But I found one of my emulators that actually where you don't have to like type load. I was like, okay, I get you're trying to be all authentic with the emulating, but to pull up a keyboard, type in run, find star, and then 8,1. And I'm like, dude, just let me start the game. Or like, I understand it's trying to do that, but I found one where I can actually just start the game, and I started playing it. And I was like, oh my god, the Commodore. Of course, it's not going to look as it's old as heck, and it was one of the first ones, but it's very nostalgic to me. Like just everything about it, the sound effects.
Yeah, and some games are just like that, Dave. Whether the game's good or not, you have a lot of nostalgia for it, and that means a lot.
Yeah, that makes a lot of. That's why we do these top fives. I don't think because they're there's a lot of people going, well, that's not that sounds terrible, but it's like if you grew up with that experience and that just everything that's happening around you, and when you had that game and the time of year or what was going on in your life, who you were with playing it, that really makes a big amount of difference.
It's like when I bring up stuff like Last Battle or Forgotten Worlds on Genesis. Like you get a lot of like weird looks from people like, what? And I'm like, these are games I had a lot of fun with. Now, Last Battle, going back and playing it, I don't know how I had fun with it as a kid. It's very much a struggle. Forgotten Worlds is an absolute blast.
Oh, Forgotten Worlds is fantastic on. I had that Turbo. I think I had that on Turbo.
Is that
CD.
on the Turbo? Because I had the Genesis version. That's the one I remember.
Yeah, PC Engine and Turbo. I had it for like a second, and before I got rid of that collection, which I'm so mad at myself for. So Sweet and Tender says, "Did you know you won one of Potion's Amico awards?" No, I'll have to check it out. I did. I know for a while he had some the Amicos, like the Emmys. He was talking about just the whole
he was doing what he called it the Amicos. I think is what he called it.
That's funny. Mega Dan, silly club members are crazy today. And crazy, I mean silly, and silly meaning great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. The Let's Plays, I sometimes just jumping into something and playing something just to show people kind of what it is. Maybe I'm not as great at it, but I try. I won best stream. Well, sweet. I think I'm the last stream standing for Amico, but I guess it was an easy win. No, I'm kidding, but thank you. That's cool.
There are some still Amico related streams.
Oh yeah, there's Amico related stuff also. Yeah.
You're just the last one with a particular stance.
I'm the last one that tries to stay positive on it, I guess. Yeah, the Turbo CD version that's the one I remember.
I haven't tried the Turbo CD version. I'd be curious to play that one because I managed to beat the Genesis one a couple of times not that long ago. And I was kind of surprised because I remember that game kicking my butt like bad as a kid. And apparently managed to get my head around it this time.
It's an honor to be nominated, sir.
Yeah, it's just an honor to be in the ceremony.
I think I got nominated for a few things. I don't know. I was not in a good frame of mind. I want to sit down and watch that, regardless if it was done in good fun or not. So I just kind of avoided it.
I had no idea. I've been busy, so
I don't get to watch. Like me and Nick were talking earlier. Like
I congratulate all the winners and all the nominees.
We let alone trying to catch up on our own stuff and in life, let alone to try to catch up on everyone's channel.
Oh God, yes. Oh man, especially lately. Like I took my vacation and tried to enjoy my vacation. And what was I thinking? Because I was behind on like everything on my channel.
I'm just glad that Nick didn't win anything because he would have been like that game awards guy that like spent 17 minutes just thanking everybody, going
They
through his whole
love
personal
me.
backstory.
They really love me.
Hey, take care, Dan. Thanks for stopping in,
Thanks,
man.
Dan.
Good to see you.
Later, Megadad.
He said the potion thing was right. I have to check the potion short runs thing out there.
Only our contest is rigged.
So now, so then we got your NES. You got your top was Contra. You got your Xbox was Crimson Skies. Your Dreamcast was, I've already forgot because you said the
Marvel
game
vs. Capcom 2.
Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and then
Super Nintendo was ActRaiser.
Yep, ActRaiser, which I need to check that out as well. And then what was your fifth one? Was
Genesis? I put Phantasy Star 2 in there, but
Phantasy
if you
Star
want more
2.
of an action game, give like either Ghostbusters or Forgotten World to try. Revenge of Shinobi's really good if you're in for some punishment.
I remember
Revenge of
watching
Shinobi
the
is a
traffic
beautiful
thing.
game with an amazing soundtrack, but it's just brutal.
Now, what would be your honorable mentions on your favorite games on those?
On Genesis, probably my honorable mention, because Phantasy Star's my top. I would probably put Ghostbusters as my honorable mention because I love that game. I just think it's a great game. Super Nintendo, if I'm going to go with like an honorable mention, trying to think of something kind of funky that I don't think a lot of people. Well, ActRaiser was the funkiest one. Maybe Secret of Mana because I think a lot of people sleep on that one.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
a fun little action RPG.
It's fantastic.
It's a
Amy, what's
fantastic
going on?
game.
What's going on, Amy? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching.
Hey, Amy.
Oh, God.
But I think that one easily gets overlooked because you had Chrono Trigger, Phantasy Star 2, Phantasy Star 3. You had so many other heavy hitters that Secret of Mana is like one of those I feel like more people skipped than not.
And I felt like it was a bigger game than Chrono Trigger at the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Because everybody, I always hear people talk about Chrono Trigger. I never
feel like in
anybody mention Secret of
retrospect,
Mana.
I feel like in retrospect, I just think like it got more, maybe just more attention in the magazines. I don't know. I loved it, so I'm not going to.
Yeah,
that's fair. That's fair. Super Street Fighter 2 was also amazing on there.
on Super NES? Yeah, absolutely.
It was a phenomenal game.
That was like,
Illusion of
to me,
Gaia.
that was the selling point when I looked at that. Yeah, like when it was like, oh, you want to. And I eventually got both, but I was like, yeah, the super, like when you thought about Street Fighter, it was the Super NES version. It was like, oh my God, that's like the coolest.
I always gravitated there because I never had the 6-button controller for the Genesis. So the Super Nintendo was my go-to for fighters. Vector Man's solid.
Vector Man's great.
Vector Man's great.
Turn to Spider. Truxton's great too.
Another one that people sleep on the NES that I think more people have found now than others is Blaster Master.
Oh yeah, wasn't that on Evercade?
That's a hard game, but it was an easy one to overlook because the cover art's kind of goofy on it.
Ken Griffey Baseball. On SNES. The Super Star Wars. A lot of people either like or hate those, but I liked a lot.
I hear really good things about the Super Star Wars games. I've seen a ton of people in the community adore those games.
Fantastic.
Oh, Amy, we were just talking. Nick was just talking about Dreamcast.
I was just talking about Dreamcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Big fan of that concept.
Yeah, House of the Dead on Dreamcast. Oh yeah, because it had the guns too on that.
Typing of the Dead.
Yeah, there was Typing of the Dead.
Typing of the Dead.
Word
Crazy
processing
Taxi,
of the Dead.
Soul Calibur,
Calligraphy of the
Technomancer.
Dead.
Crazy Taxi. Oh my God, that's right.
Street Fighter 3 looked phenomenal on the Dreamcast.
Adventures of Batman and Robin and Genesis was a hardware pusher. I'd say Jurassic Park has the best OST.
It's really
Skies
good.
of Arcadia, Grandia 2. Those are great RPGs on the Dreamcast. There's a lot of good stuff on Dreamcast.
What is the big rhythm game on Dreamcast?
I believe, Esmo, you already answered the question. That would be Space Channel 5. Yeah.
I'm looking for one who has one. Well, they're very sought after now. Anything old is sought after now, Amy. But yeah, no. Yeah, Soul Calibur was... Now, see, when I played Soul Calibur, I think it was Soul Calibur... What would it... Was that the GameCube? So what was that, Soul Calibur 2 or 3 at that point?
I think it was 2.
2? Okay.
Because it had Link, right? On the GameCube?
Yeah.
Link on the GameCube, Yoda on the Xbox,
and then PS2
and Vader on the PlayStation.
That's what it was. Okay. Who has a working Dreamcast? A lot of people.
and that's true. That
Whether
system's
they're
well,
going to try to
Jet
sell
Set
it for a
Radio on
good
the
price.
Dreamcast. Great game.
That's like, I think Amy, you're thinking like I was when I gave away my TurboGrafx to like my nephew, going, this is old. I'm not going to need that anymore. And now they quadrupled in price, and it's the most expensive thing to ever collect for. Yeah, the lasers boost.
Have you heard of the Saturn, sir?
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yes, inbox Sega Saturn games. They're only $250 a piece.
Dreamcast is so pricey. Yeah, if you want to collect cheap Sega, go with like the Pico.
Yeah,
or the Pico Beano.
I'm just kidding.
GameCube games have gotten ridiculous too.
Yeah.
Those went insane. That's another
I would love
underrated
to get a
system
Dreamcast
too.
again. I
Like
just can't
GameCube
afford to
totally
get it.
started. You know what? I think you're. You know what? The more we think about it, the more I think you're right. I think Xbox came out and blew the doors off the GameCube when it came out, because it seems like a lot of people now go back and want the GameCube all the time now because they missed out on it.
I
had a ton
returned
of really good stuff.
Yeah, well, it had a reputation as a kiddie console.
Oh man,
Purple had a handle.
Yeah,
even though it did not have a lot of kiddie games, compared to maybe the N64. I mean, they really did try and make it a little bit more of a teen and young adult audience with that system. It just had that reputation. It was hard to shake, and I think it just did poor sales wise. But yeah, I think the Xbox slightly outsold it. But I mean, Microsoft was coming out of nowhere. No one, who wants a Microsoft console? Microsoft had a horrible reputation at the time.
Oh, dude, I'll be honest. Simulator. I was one of the first people laughing. Like, what are you gonna have to do? Reinstall the whole OS every other week on this thing? And
they were putting out.
I saw plenty of stuff on it, and I bought one day one.
But I mean, Microsoft put out DirectX. That's part of like how we moved into like uniform PC games. They put out Age of Empires. They were putting out some interesting games out there, and they were willing to work with everybody behind the scenes to make like uniform games. So they had a good idea. They just needed to get out and take some punches, and they made up for it.
Mm-hmm.
I have a barely used Dreamcast that I haven't fired up for 20 years. Maybe have to get it out and test someday. Dude, yeah, I mean, you got a piece of history right there. It's I would love to get a nice working Dreamcast with at least a few of the games that I had, which I don't think I had anything too expensive. Like I said, just the Mortal Kombats, the WWF, the Evil Dead game. There's a few games that I wouldn't mind, It's you go down that rabbit hole collecting. Like I try to do that with Master System, Genesis. I'm like, I need to focus on one. If I'm going to get a Sega system, I'm got to focus on building up my Genesis first because I want to rebuy. Like I said, I kind of halted on that. I've halted on a lot of stuff. It's just money. It's just so much money.
I think if I was going to collect game systems these days, the ones I would probably gravitate the most to are the ones that are part focused. Just because I feel like they're going to last a little bit longer. Because I've talked to multiple people, like even Mike has said a couple times he's got a couple of CD games that he's worried that they've got a bit too much disc rot, stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of if I should, I was going to say this like it's so easy. I was like, you can also get something to emulate it too, but yeah, it's really not easy to emulate a lot of those. And they're very choppy and crappy. And even the one thing I got now, it has those on there, but it plays everything else 16-bit. But those are terrible. It doesn't. They're unplayable.
And you can also do pretty simple hardware workarounds on many of those systems that you can just work off of copied discs and play them. So I mean, that's probably not much different from copied ROMs on hardware, but there's workarounds.
Speaking of workarounds, that is not a good transition. What is your top 5 retro consoles and your top game for each, Rab?
I hate your segues.
My segues are terrible.
Speaking of workarounds,
not that. I'll give you a quick update on our 72 vote poll going on.
Good, because you're not going to like my answers for this.
Right. NES is at 40%, jumped way ahead. Intellivision at 28%, Atari at 29%, and the Commodore still at 3%. It's very sad. Very sad. I'm sorry. All right.
No, don't be sorry.
You gotta get to your top 5.
You put out some rules, and I flaunt them all the time. So I'm sorry, but I didn't go with my top 5 because I love the NES. I love the Super Nintendo. I love the Genesis, all these game systems that are classic that had all of these games thrown on them, the best of the best. They're leading game systems for a reason. I mean, everybody put out some of their best stuff on those systems. So I didn't want to just go into like a list of like what my particular favorites at a particular time were. So I went with, I guess, 5 that systems I loved. I love a lot of systems, but for one particular reason or another, just a different point of time. Before the NES, before doing anything on a computer or ColecoVision and television, I was playing on Atari. I was playing on the original Odyssey. I was playing on some of these old Pong clone consoles.
Yeah.
My Atari got a good 10-year solid life even after getting an NES. Was still that was the system that like my mom would play on, and a lot of family would get together and play on. So when I think back to the original VCS, the 2600, that to me was quite a family console because extended family, cousins, aunts, uncles would play when we got together on the Atari. We'd play Frogger, we'd play Defender, we'd play Centipede, we'd play Kaboom, all of these games where it was so easy to quickly hand the controller over to somebody else who's like, I don't want to play, I don't know what I'm doing, and they could figure it out on the fly. They didn't have to be good because you just had a joystick and one button, or you just had a paddle and either button on either side. So there weren't a whole lot of games to figure out. So yeah, I mean, Berserk, Kaboom, Centipede, Haunted House. There's just, I could go on and on and on about all the good games on the original Atari. But I think the ones that kind of stood out for me that I would play kind of solo that I'd gravitate back to, I loved Fantastic Voyage, where it was based on the old movie where you're like shrunken down in a ship and you're stuck. Like you remember
Inner Space.
Like you get injected into somebody. I mean, Inner Space is like a take on Fantastic Voyage. You get injected into somebody and you're in the tiny ship and you're going through their arteries and shooting shooting the bad germs and the blood. You have to go and break a blood clot, and you have like good germs that you don't want to, or white blood cells, I think.
Like the
blood cells. You don't want to shoot certain things because that's used by the patient to heal them, and you want to shoot the bad ones, the germs, and you also want to shoot like enzymes because they release something that destroyed the other germs and were healthy for the patient. And you were also racing against a timer, and you could hear like the beep 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 beep. You were hearing as the patient was getting closer to death, so you had to hurry up and make your way through the bloodstream and reach the clot, and ultimately like reach their brain as you were traveling through their body. And I just remember that being like a fascinating, like, this, unlike a lot of other Atari games, took me into a different world. And that was a really transformative experience for me at the time. Another one that did that, I think, was like Empire Strikes Back. I mean, you're just fighting those, you're on Hoth, and you're fighting those, what is it, AT-AT, the walkers.
Yeah, the AT-AT walkers.
AT-AT walkers. As they're nearing the power generators, and you have to stop them, and you see your little map to see like how close you can get, how close they're getting to the power generator, and you have to go and take them out. And it didn't do a lot. I mean, those Star Wars games on the Game Boy, Star Wars on the Game Boy was great. On the NES were really good. Maybe played a little clunky. And then the Super Nintendo games were fantastic. Lego Star Wars are fantastic. But that one kind of just, it gave you enough that you were transported to that world. And I love that. I just love that experience about it. And then I think another runner-up that I might put for the original Atari would be Tunnel Runner, just because it put you in a 3D maze and you were discovering things, and you could see the maze and you can turn, and it just opened up this big world. And I just thought that was like amazing to see that on the Atari. Got my butt kicked half the time, but I enjoyed playing and exploring that maze and just kind of being in that world. So yeah, Atari 2600 VCS, very important system for me when I was younger.
So is that mostly what you, I mean, or now is that just your very first one? What do you have?
My first one was the original Odyssey. When I was really young, Like
So I know a bit
my
about
family.
Odyssey 2, but I didn't. The Odyssey 1 was that the overlays on the screen?
That was the overlays on the screen, and you
Wow.
had the moving blip, and you
Yep.
could play very simplistic table tennis and some different games from those overlays. And
Yeah.
the interesting thing for me with that one, and I've talked about this on the NLG podcast before, so I won't go into too much detail here, but my dad would bring home like this, I guess, grafting paper, whatever it was called. It was like you could almost see through it. It was thin enough you could see through. And so I would make my own skiing courses and make my own mazes and haunted houses and kind of make my own games from that paper and just put it up on the TV and tape it.
That's a great idea,
And
man.
then I would just
It is
test
a good
myself
idea.
because I ran out of like things to do with it, but I still wanted to do things with it. It was a system that my family were like, okay, you could play this because you're young and you're not grasping all this stuff with the Atari, or we want to do something else. So we're using this. We want to play, this game, and you're not old enough for it. Go play the Odyssey in the den. And I would just go and make those maps and stuff and make my own games and worlds. And that was just a fun experience for me. And it was like my family letting me go build something. And I thought that was very cool. So that always stuck with me.
That is awesome, man. Yeah, I never thought about that. What a good idea. Yeah, doing like your own maze or your own like just making your own rules and oh man. But now did you do that? You said you did that with friends too, or was that
No,
mostly?
I would do that. I played by myself.
Oh,
I think there were some times where I brought over like I brought in
no, that's
like
still cool
a
though,
cousin,
man.
but
That's
my
so
cousins
cool.
were much older than me, so
Yeah.
they were not that interested. They were more like, oh, isn't that cute? Or you made a person and here you can go and you can go and find what's in his pocket. Or I'm like, because the Odyssey had so many like cards and accessories with it, so I
Yeah.
would pull out all our board games and find different things that I wanted to play for the game. So I'd take like cards from Payday or from Careers or Life or whatever,
That's
and
cool.
try and make my own game from what I would do on the screen. And it was just
I kept forgetting they had the accessories like that too. 'Cause
tons
the
of
Odyssey
accessories.
2 had that too.
Odyssey
Yeah.
2 had that as well, and that was going to be one of my things because Quest for the Rings was
That was what I was going to say. That they
Quest.
had a lot of accessories for that.
Yeah, well, they
That's
had
a
these
really
strategies
cool
games.
idea for a game. I did some research on that for an upcoming video. That's a really cool idea.
Well, it was like the merging of board games, and the original Odyssey was this as well, because they were like, okay, you got this dot in the TV.
Yeah.
What are people going to do? How do you sell it to them? People need board games, so they created board games that you could interact with what was going on the TV. And the Odyssey 2 did that with a couple of their games. Conquest of the World and Quest for the Rings, and I forget the other one. I think there was like a Wall Street themed one that they did that as well. But you had all these accessories, and I remember the big book, and that was like the beginning of me getting like really interested in D&D and creating all this stuff. Obviously, drawing my own overlays and stuff on the Odyssey. It's kind of I just need like my hi, I'm a nerd badge for this segment, but
Cool,
I
man.
just dove into this stuff of creating these worlds and all the maps and accessories and stuff. And with that game, you had segments that you got to play on the screen that didn't really involve any of the game pieces. You could be the magician, you could be the fighter, you can be the person who becomes invisible, the person that walks through walls, and you had these different experiences. And you fought monsters, but you never killed them, but you fought monsters and tried to go and find these rings that were like, scattered at the bottom of the screen. So, and you work that into your campaign. So it was really cool. So yeah, Odyssey 2 gets a shout out.
Yeah.
Odyssey 1
That
gets
is
an
awesome.
honorary shout out. So what I did Atari, I did Odyssey 2. Nick, you skipped ColecoVision, right?
I did skip on ColecoVision. A lot of good stuff there, though.
Yeah, so I'm going to give ColecoVision some love because there was a few ColecoVision, such a good system. And like, if any, Atari had its day in the sun, and Intellivision had a good run for the time. Very couple of weeks of 79, but 80, 81, 82, 83, 84. There's a good run for a system, but I feel like ColecoVision got the shaft. It came out at the end part of 82, and then
It
83.
it was almost the next thing, and then NES said, "Nope, check us out."
Well, they went all in on the Atom, and that collapsed on them, and it kind of just everything fell apart. But those games were so good, and they had such potential. Like, War Games was fantastic, just as far as like what could be done at the time. But the ones that really stood out for me, there's a game called Illusions. You know that MC Escher staircases, like endless staircases that
Oh,
were
yeah,
run.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
thinking like Crystal Castles. This was like an advanced version of Crystal Castles where you guide these blobs and stuff, and you avoid like lizards, and you could throw water on them, and they turn into birds, and everything was like this weird sort of heady dream state as you walk these blobs through different levels. And I thought that was just a fun game. I didn't know quite what was going on, but I loved doing it. It looked very pretty. Another one for Coleco was Spy Hunter. Really good
I
game.
don't know that I had Spy Hunter. I had Turbo.
I didn't know they
And
had
Turbo
that
was a
on.
lot of fun.
Yeah, Spy Hunter, really good game. Zaxxon, of course, everybody had Zaxxon. Everybody, I think, had Burger Time. Fortune Builder was another one where it's like an early SimCity builder. You could just build your little city and make it function. So those are my shouts out for the ColecoVision. Just some little oddball games that I think kind of get overlooked.
To add on to those, Smurfs, Time Pilot,
Yep.
Venture,
Oh,
those are all
Mr.
excellent games.
Do, right?
Even Cabbage Patch Kids was not bad. I mean, that was a Coleco.
Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. were both really good in ColecoVision as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, right. They did the Sydney Hunter series off of the Smurfs games.
Yeah.
The way they kind of just designed that very first one, and it kind of just took off from there.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt like if ColecoVision, if they hadn't put in so much effort into the Atom, I think they would have survived. And it's one of those things, like I hate Generations because it just doesn't make any sense. But Coleco and the Nintendo and the Sega Master System and the SG-1000, they're all kind of the same material. Like they're almost the same sort of capability. Nintendo and Sega Master System have a little bit better graphics and stuff, but they're based on the ColecoVision. They use that as their model, and they do a lot of the same stuff, and they're capable of a lot of the same things. So they're kind of the same era, and it died too soon. So yeah. I always feel bad about the console. Miner 2049er is another great one.
Yeah. That was also a homebrew for Intellivision as well.
Yeah.
And then Sydney Hunter as well, spin off of those Smurfs. And that turned into a whole different. Oh, of course, he broke down the door and made it here. Well, what does my door look like upstairs? Have you clawed it to death?
You'll find out later.
Yep, you'll find out a little bit.
Cowcat is about to walk on my.
Right. So I gave you 3. Let me go with 2 more. I think I'm gonna go with Commodore 64, and I know it's not a console, but
no,
it's a game system. It's a game system, and it came
really
out at
is.
a time when computers and game consoles were kind of converging into what they were or what they wanted to be. And you could plug cartridges into the C64 and just play. It didn't require anything more than, just the keyboard, a joystick, and you could go. You plug it into your TV and you can play. And one of my favorites for that, I think, was Pharaoh's Curse, which is like a Montezuma Aztec kind of game where you're exploring.
I remember that.
You're going down and you're exploring the pyramids and fighting bats and everything and discovering treasures and stuff. It's just an early platformer, and I loved getting lost in that game. But there's so many interesting games for the Commodore 64 that I can go with. And I didn't know for my last one whether I wanted to go with the Master System or the Game Boy, but I think I'm going to go with the complete left field turn here, since we're sticking to like the old classic stuff, as my final favorite memory pick for like an old classic console or game system. I want to go with Apple II. And the reason I'm going with this is because most of us of our age probably spent some time in our school computer labs playing Apple II. A lot of edutainment games that we were forced to play, Mavis Beacon, Where in Time, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, who hasn't played Oregon Trail, Number Munchers, Word Munchers, all of those games.
You're knocking stuff off.
It's kind of a shared experience, but it's not an experience that many of us had in the home. And I didn't get an Apple II until probably about 95 or 96, so this is like super late. But I did get a box of Apple II games when my cousin moved on to, I think they moved on to the Amiga. It may have been the ST, and they didn't want it anymore. And they sold their Apple II, but they didn't sell their games with it. I think their mom sold the system, and so they had a bunch of games, and it was like worth nothing in the early 90s. So we got a bunch of Apple II games. And I can remember going to one of our local libraries that still had an Apple II. And this was before viruses were such a big deal that you couldn't put in discs. And I remember being able to put in discs and play some of those games quietly for like my little hour session before I had to like, let the next person play the computer. So I got to play a bunch of these old Apple II games that I loved. And I remember seeing some and I remember playing some. But this is in like the 80s. And then like I got an Apple II around like 95, 96 for a score. But that's where I spent a bunch of time playing things like Ultima and Wizardry and the Bard's Tale and Lode Runner and Choplifter and all these classic games that were showing up everywhere else. They got their start in the Apple II, and they were really good. And it just, that's a important memory for me, is being able to just play those discs for like an hour before I had to give up my slot. Or in computer lab, if the teacher was cool, then I could play one of those games. If not, then it was like, okay, I'll play again. Or, all right, we'll all fight over who gets to play the one copy of Oregon Trail.
Do you remember that, like you're saying, like on the pet computers or the
yes, or the Tandy, yeah.
Yeah, it had like the black screen with the cat's literally knocking everything off. I'm gonna have to put him upstairs and close him until he knocks down the door again. So there was a game there was some sort of robot game where you did like math. You did like math problems. It was a learning like edutainment like early game on a pet computer. The green graphics on the black background,
the green screen, yeah.
And it had like when you had the cassette tape thing, like a lot of people just put them on the top like Velcro or duct tape or something. Mm-hmm. And you'd roll them into like in the library at the schools back then. But there was this robot game
on the audio-visual tray that they brought around in the classrooms. Yeah,
and the robot would come into frame. It would roll into frame. Cool-looking graphics at the time, I guess.
Yeah, 95 and 96.
Yeah, and you do like a math problem, and then it would just roll off screen, and then another one would come on. They just keep getting like bigger and harder to like beat.
Yeah,
dude, I'm gonna have to.
No, I remember stuff like that. And Mike, 95 or 96 was when I got an Apple II, but that's not when I was playing these games. These games are when I was playing in computer labs in the 80s. So that's different. When I got an Apple II to be able to play a lot of these games that I'd accumulated over the years was 95 or 96. But it was, I would say, 85, 86, 87 was like my prime time of playing those in computer labs at the local library. So hopefully that makes sense.
No, that is actually awesome. I will be right back because he is literally just chewing on the Intel voice right now and knocked like my TurboGrafx boxes over. So I'll be right back.
All right.
We all knew this was coming. You were talking about it for a while.
The cat came back the very next day and chewed up your IntelliVoice. Couldn't go away.
By the way, I know DJC is out for a minute. Thank you, Evil, for the gift of the subscription. By the way, we did see that. I was kind of letting Rab do Rab.
I didn't see it at all. I just go into my monologues and people.
Yeah, he gifted a sub, and I think Backwards Man grabbed it.
Oh well, thank you, Evil, and I apologize about my monologuing. I'm cutting it. I've got my 5. I'm done. It's going to be awkward silence now. Nick, it's just you.
It's all me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I mean, further mentions on the ColecoVision front, my mom was a huge fan of Ladybug, which I think is actually a really great game. That's a very, very good game. It's another one of those that a lot of people don't see because Pac-Man was so popular, right? So it's another one of those kind of underdog titles. And I didn't even know until I started.
And then you had like Mousetrap and stuff that were similar.
I don't think I ever had Mousetrap. I don't recall it anyway.
There was a lot of those.
I don't think I played it enough to form any major memories on it.
There was a lot of those maze games that were done really well, and some of them I think did it better than Pac-Man. But
yeah, honestly, I thought Ladybug was a little bit better than Pac-Man, but I didn't even realize until I was doing research on Pac-Man that they had thought about doing the gate system, like is actually in Ladybug,
Mhm.
and decided it didn't fit with the way they wanted that game to flow. And I'm like, well, that's kind of interesting that idea comes up like twice in
Yeah.
such a short time span, right?
Yeah. Have you ever played what's the name? Was Turtles on the ColecoVision? I know it was on the Odyssey too.
I don't think so. No.
Because that was another similar game to Pac-Man, where you were basically going over like some little question marks and things were popping up and coming after you, and you were basically just guiding these baby turtles through different levels. But
That's a cool idea.
yeah, I mean, you just take one idea, like navigate the maze and avoid the monsters, and
Right.
throw in gates, throw in portals, throw in different functionalities that reverse things. It's endless, and we got endless variations of it. So I mean, people get sick of that, but I think some of those maze games could use a comeback. I think it's one of the genres that I'd like to see more of, and I'm sure there are a bunch of mobile games and stuff out there that I'm just missing. But
There's been a few. The was it Pac-Man '99 came out that time ago?
I mean, yeah,
It
Pac-Man
was like a year or
99,
two. I want to say it's been about a year, maybe a little bit
Pac-Man
longer.
4-player. Yeah, there's been a couple
Yeah.
new Pac-Mans, but I'm just thinking about other games in general that could take that genre and reinvigorate it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would like to see that because there was a bunch of those. God, there was one on the Evergate that I played that I want to say was like,
Only there was a system that is taking a classic retro game approach where you only need to spend a few minutes on a game and kind of put it in front
what?
of people
No,
that don't need
no,
instructions, maybe
no,
a casual focused
no,
audience.
no.
Yeah.
We need
We
very
could call it
complicated
this-
instructions,
We could call it the Steam Deck.
preferably in a language that nobody understands,
Yeah.
and a Souls-like system. That's what we
Yes.
need.
Which don't get
I entered the
and don't
I
get any of
entered
us
the
wrong.
room,
Like we
and I hear
all
Souls.
love those kinds of games. We're not
I hear Souls like. What is wrong?
Lock
with
and
you?
Chase, Richard. Thank you. I was trying to think of that. Lock and
yes,
Chase.
Lock
That's
and
it. What I
Chase
was
is
thinking
another
of.
one.
Good game.
Yeah, that's another good game in that vein. And that's the one I was playing on the Evergate that I could not for the life of me remember the name of.
So what did you get done? I've got the cat locked up, and he will be.
He
Gave him-
did.
You got the cat.
Gave him
locked
some
up.
chicken. He's tearing that up right now. But as soon as he realizes I came back down and closed the door, he's gonna.
And warm welcome to sibling Mike.
Yes, sibling Mike.
Hello.
What is going on? So, what was I going to say? So you did your 5,
Yes.
Reb? So I will. I guess I'll go next now that everything's in shambles. Literally, everything's been knocked apart. But okay, I'm getting a little over dramatic. So, my top 5, as far as retro, and I kind of did it as it doesn't matter. Anyways, NES is gonna be one of my 5. My all-time favorite game for NES. And I think, and this is an odd one, I've said it a million times probably on the show before when we talk about this, but is Robo Warrior, Jalico game.
You've told me about this game before.
Adventure
I
game where
people have mentioned this game.
you gotta find a chalice. Every level has a chalice. If you do not find the chalice, it's usually within the beginning to mid section of the board for the most part, if I can remember right. If you don't get it and you pass that section with the chalice, the whole board repeats. So you have to and it's almost like an adventure Bomberman. So you basically have to blast your way with bombs, and you have a gun to shoot with as well. And then you pick up items and use your items. So you have lanterns and candles to see in the caves. You have energizers to energize your batteries because you are a robot. It's just really fun. There eventually, after every so many levels, there's bosses. This is one of my all-time favorites, and the reason it is it because it's the greatest game of all time? No, it's probably because this is the first game I ever bought with my own money. After I made I think it was a $30 game, like a $29.95 game. And I remember I rode up on my bicycle to Kmart to buy this. And I had passed out flyers for a pizza place over the weekend, and I made $30, just over $30. And this is what I bought. And I was like, I bought my own Nintendo game. This is the coolest thing ever. So people were like, "This is stupid." So I defended the heck out of this. Like this, and it became to the point where I eventually beat it, and it took so long. I eventually beat it, and it's a long, hard game, but it is so much fun. It's just a joy. And the greatest music, and there's a lot of music that's been ripped off for different games. That's probably from Jellico, but or licensed, but you'll recognize a lot of music in here, and you'll be like, I know that from a different Nintendo game, but it's on. This is where it started, and I absolutely love this game. Honorable mention for. On some other like just great favorites of NES, RC Pro-Am, which I kind of was holding up earlier.
That's a tough game to go back and play now. It's just hard to control. It's a very good game though.
I gotta go back and play it.
I have that on Rare Replay, and with the Xbox controller, it's pretty nice.
I bet you it's much easier with the Xbox controller.
It is.
With a D-pad, I find racers very hard to control.
Oh my goodness, Casey going crazy with the super chats because he's a Silly Club member. Silly Club members tend to be more happy people. You know.
Also, big shout out to our Silly Club member Evil, who just gifted a membership to Amy.
That's the second one he's gifted tonight, by the way.
Yeah.
He did what?
'Tis the season.
He gifted 2 subs tonight.
Oh, nice, very nice. That is awesome. Yes, that is really awesome, Evil Dude. Thank you.
Backwards Man got one, and Amy got the other one.
Very cool. All right, whoops, the chat just jumped like crazy there. Okay. And so my second honorable mention, this was almost going to be my first one, but Life Force, which is a Konami.
Dude, I struggle to get good at that game, and I do get good. That's a tough game.
You can use the contra code on this. So when you do it with 30
I know. I've been trying not to use the contra code.
It's still hard.
It's a very hard game.
As a kid, I was way better at it, though. I could play it way better as a kid than I could. You know, now I suck at everything now. Like I played way better.
Yeah, you probably spent
There's some games
40 hours learning to play, and you forgot about that.
Jumping into it like. Yeah. Once a week or once every so many months, you know. And
I'll be honest, there's some games I'm way better at, like Ninja Gaiden. I can get anywhere on as kid. Contra I can get anywhere on as kid without 30 lives code. Even then, I couldn't beat the game. So some games I've gotten way better at, and some games I've gotten way worse. So it's kind of a crapshoot with me.
Well, some of them do and don't age well, right? And you know we're getting old, Nick.
Oh, there you go. Amy is a Silly Club member.
I actually am good at Earthworm Jim. If you can make it to stage 7-1 on Earthworm Jim, then
wait, you went back to it
too. Then they were better than Earthworm Jim than me. But getting to stage 7-1 is not easy on Earthworm Jim.
I thought you gave up on that.
I did. I got to 7-1, and I hate that stage because it's one. It almost damn near broke my thumb because you have to keep tapping the button to continue to hover, and then navigating that stage is trash.
Yeah. Tommy guilted him.
Pretty much every stage in that game was worse than the last one. It got progressively less fun the deeper into it I got.
So I'm going to try to go a little faster because I know we got to get through it. I know Mike probably has some, I believe. If not, we do have a giveaway too. So my next would be 3DO. A lot of people don't like 3DO. Well, there is some gems on 3DO. And then there's also complete garbage. And to me, this was, like I said, one of my top consoles and one of the top games on that. It's a struggle between two. But Road Rash to me is the best version of Road Rash. The best soundtrack, best graphics, best gameplay. I don't care where else you have it. If you have not played Road Rash on 3DO with the Soundgarden soundtrack, it is epic.
So epic. I'm not going to trash on that version of Road Rash because it's an awesome version of that. I just do have to say that the Sega Saturn version's identical to it.
I don't know about that, but I haven't played it. I haven't played it, so I wouldn't know.
So
How's the arcade
have
version?
I have it for the Saturn, and then I went ahead when I was doing some testing on the VCS of my RetroArch. I downloaded it on for the 3DO emulator, and they are this. It's great. I know, and don't get me wrong. I'm actually affirming the fact that
You
that
using
version of
40O
Road Rash is
for
awesome.
emulation?
Whatever.
I think I was talking to
I think it's
somebody.
Opera.
I can't remember if it was Luke or somebody said it was 4DO is probably one of the best emulators.
It's I don't know,
but I'm not sure if that's.
I have to go back and look at
I
the.
don't have
I have to go back
anything.
and look at the current whatever the current core is I'm using with RetroArch.
But my second one, my little runner up there would be PO'd, which
good
also
game.
was out for PlayStation 1 as well. But yeah, PO'd, great first person shooter. You get a jetpack, 360 degrees of just. Now, mind you, it's early first person, so it's got that pixelated a little bit, not bad. You know, it's playable still, but it's fantastic. Now moving on to Sega Genesis, which would be my number 3 favorite console. There's a couple that stand out. Like I said, people are going to go, "You're nuts." There's so many better games, but it's more than nostalgia for me. What I was doing, it's almost a tie break, like a tie between these two. And it might be just the graphics or the fact that I got it, and I don't know. It just at the time it was a silly game, and Cool Spot. I absolutely love Cool Spot. Cool music.
That game gets a lot of love these days. A lot of people really enjoy that game.
And it's a little challenging too. Like the jumping is really challenging. But this one was probably this has been in my top spot for so long.
That's Quackshot. I can tell.
Quackshot,
That's
dude.
a good game.
They do
That's
such
a good game.
good job on Genesis Disney games.
Genesis did a great job with Disney IPs.
And then of course you got to have
Master System did pretty well too.
And
I don't have much experience on Master System, so I never speak on that one, but I believe you.
Yeah, PO'd fart humor and the weird butt demons and all that stuff. It's hilarious. Rusty Cage would be a good soundtrack for the Amico Sesame Street games. I don't know.
They were talking about Soundgarden, and I think they got onto the bad album.
Yeah. So now we get down to my pretty much my top 2 retro consoles of all time, and that is
what will they be?
Well,
does one start with an I, one start with a T?
The IntelliGraphics?
Let's start with the
TurboGrafx. The IntelliGraphics 24.
You guys already know. So TurboGrafx, Legendary, and Legendary X2 is probably okay. I've got like my 3 favorite here, but it's a cross between these two, really. Airzonk and Legendary X2.
See, Airzonk I can go with you on, even though I can't beat that game. Legendary X2, when I got to the second stage and you just get straight up lost, and you have a timer to boot, screw that.
You got lost?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
We're gonna have to talk, sir.
I ran out of the entire timer on that thing multiple times.
The climbing up the waterfall is harsh. I'll tell you that. You got to climb all the way to the top and then go left, and then you come back down around, and then you get the boss right there.
Okay, that's probably where I got lost, because I got there and I could figure it out. And Sweet and Tender, don't make me pick between those two. That's not fair.
But this has like some really cool bosses, really cool graphics. It's some of the biggest digitized bosses as far as that. Same with Airzonk. This has probably some of the best music sound. I actually downloaded the soundtrack of this. And then there's another great mention, a great arcade game, adventure RPG kind of story game. Believe it or not, it was an arcade.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of different systems. This one,
Kadash was actually on Genesis, I think, too.
But there's only 2 players. This has all 4 playable characters on this one, and you can play up to 4 players, which the other versions did not. They either had 2 playable characters or 3. So this was kind of the. It wasn't arcade perfect as far as a lot of the backgrounds weren't like multi-scrolling, but very close on the graphics, because I just recently did a video on the arcade. But Kadash, a beautiful soundtrack on that too. So I mean, there's a lot I could talk about Turbo forever in a lot of games, but those really just hit home to me because it's one of the ones, because I decided everyone I know I can play Genesis anywhere, I could play Super Nintendo anywhere, and I was working, I think, for Sears by the escalator, putting watch batteries and stuff. I was that little kiosk. And me and the girl that worked on the engraving station on the other side of the down escalator, we'd always put our little paper timers up that said, we'll be back in this time. And we'd see if anyone was there. We'd come back and move it ahead another 20 minutes and then go out in the mall and start shopping and stuff. But we constantly go to like Funkoland or Babbage's or EB or whatever was around at the time. And they kept saying, that the Turbo Duo is coming, the Turbo Graphics. I went Turbo Graphics over everything. And I'm glad I did. I really loved it. I always defend it. But now it's like the most sought after expensive one, right? So now we're going to go to my top, which is in television, as you know. And my top game my top game, as you guys all know, is
double shocker.
No.
It was a close second. It would have been World Championship Baseball, which is the updated version of the MLB baseball, where you have the scrolling outfield. You couldn't always kick it. The pitcher wouldn't always catch your ball every time you batted. So they upgraded it, made it a little more playable. And yes, that's pretty much what it is. And I got to give an honorable mention to, as far as consoles, the Atari 2600, which is, but I felt like our family already owned that because my cousins literally almost every day I was over there playing it, as well as my friends that lived in the neighborhood always playing it. So I never had one as a kid.
But that's how it was.
I always played it somewhere else.
You didn't have to have it. If one of your friends had it, you were spending all your time when you wanted to play it. You guys would get together at their house and you'd play it. So you guys kind of coordinated so that you had something else. You had in television, they had Atari.
And Evil just gifted another sub, which was taken by Sweet and Tender.
Sweet and Tender is now
Congratulations.
Yep. And now a Silly Club member. So does that mean you're going to be in the drawing, Sweet? If you have a place where I can send something, I know some people are weird about that, so just let me know. So we're going to do that.
Don't need to get all silly about this.
I'm going to start setting up the spinny wheel, as I like to call it. Also, if Live in the Moment is in the chat, I still have not gotten an address to send the mug for him. I'll let it go about another week. If there's no claiming the mug, maybe I'll see if I can try to reach out to him somehow. But Live in the Moment, you still have a mug I just need an address where to send that mug. Because him and Thomas Bryant were the winners last week, and they will not be in this week's spin. But anyways, Mike, your 5 top favorite in games top favorite games for those consoles.
So to interrupt before Mike gets started, I have to leave here pretty soon.
Oh, that's right.
I have a maintenance window that starts at 10, so I've got to start getting ready for that. So I'm going to go ahead and bail here. I'll be kind of listening in and just watching the stream, but I've got to get ready for work. So thank you, everybody, for coming in, hanging out. Thank you, Nick, Evil, once again for...
Nick, on behalf of you, I hate your job.
Yeah, I know.
I hate your job.
This is the last one, I think, for a while now.
Good.
They're kind of a pain in the butt, particularly when they start at 10, because I kind of leave work. I'm kind of fed up with work, and then I go right back into work.
And then you have to go back and do it again.
Yeah, it's a thing. But work only gets really done at night. Everything during the day is preparing to do actual work at night. So that's just kind of the job. So it is what it is. Anyway, thank you again for all the gift subs and everything like that, and for all the stickers and bubbles and all the other good stuff, and for just hanging out. And I'll catch you guys later. Bye.
See you, Nick. Take care. Night. All right, so you go right ahead. I am going to set up the spinny wheel, if you will.
All right.
It's awesome up here.
So, a couple of these are things I don't have anymore. So, there were so many ColecoVision games. You guys were talking Coleco earlier, which is funny because somebody said that they should remake some Coleco games. Here was the weird thing about the ColecoVision. I don't think people remember. Coleco didn't make any games. They licensed everything from everybody else.
They started a studio, I think, in '84, and they had to
shut it down.
But they didn't put out any of their games for the ColecoVision.
Right. So everything on the ColecoVision was from somebody else. And of course, for me, the biggest game on the ColecoVision that my favorite on that system was, believe it or not, Donkey Kong Jr.
Now, I think they actually did make some. I think they did do development. They just didn't have they had like an
They didn't
in-house
have
studio.
IP.
They didn't have
So-
their own IP.
Right. They didn't have, and that's what I mean. They didn't have IP. They took everybody else's games and put them on the ColecoVision.
Mm-hmm.
They basically licensed everything. But Donkey Kong Jr. was my goat on that. My second favorite system in the retro, second favorite retro system was my Atari computer stuff. So I had an 800 and I had a 1200, and there were so many incredible Atari computer games. Not as many as the Coleco or as the Commodore rather.
Yeah.
I used to walk into stores. You walk into Electronics Boutique and you'd see an entire wall of Commodore 64, and you'd see like a single shelf of Atari games. But there was a game on the Atari called Racing Destruction Set. And it was, you built tracks and raced them with 1 to 2 players, and it had split screen.
Mm-hmm.
And you could set up where your tracks were. You could set up your gravity. So like you could do tracks on the moon, and it was kind of the precursor for Stunt Driver and all those kind of games. So there was that.
Set up oil slicks.
Oil slicks.
Yep.
There was also a game on the Atari that kind of was a runner-up for me, called it was a game series called Seamus and Seamus 2. Seamus was a very much Robotron type game, a little overhead adventure shooter. You had to go through these rooms and you shot in all directions and yada yada. Seamus 2 was more of a side-scrolling platformer. So that was that. My third system, retro, of course, is also the Intellivision, and shame on you, Chuck.
I'm sorry, Astro Smash.
Shame on you.
Love Astro Smash, dude. I'm sorry.
Shame on you.
Okay,
but I'll give you that. But below the World Championship Baseball too?
Yeah.
When you go for honorable mentions, you're going for kind of the
If it was
out
a
there
top
pick.
5, if there was a top 5, it would be bowling, baseball, Burger Time, Astro Smash. And of course, my
Astro Smash is below Burger Time.
Mike, he's trying to break out of his shell.
Show.
Wow.
Oh wow!
I don't know
That
what
was
I don't.
good.
I mean, my second game is Dungeons and Dragons, the original one. Oh my goodness!
Evil's gifted everybody. So.
Oh, I can't believe what. I don't know you anymore.
Dude, if you would have asked me, but it changes. You got to remember these change because it's what I'm.
What? Yeah.
Give a man an Amico and.
If it was 1981, if it was 1981 or 1980, when did it come out?
If it was 1981, it would have been Poker and Blackjack. That would have been
80.
It would have been. Actually, it would have been Astro Smash. It would have been Astro Smash. But I played so much Astro. Now, don't get me wrong. On the Amico, it's Astro Smash. But ask me in 5 years if Astro Smash is my favorite on the Amico. I'm sure it'll be something different at the time. But this, it's still in my top 5. I'm just saying.
All right.
You got a great game like PBA bowling. How dare you?
That is true.
How dare you?
Hockey was very good too. That's a game that I would love to. Okay.
Justy. Sorry, go ahead.
So then I moved to
welcome, sir.
My next favorite system, which is the Sega Dreamcast. And I would not be remiss without Sonic Adventure. All the games, Sonic Adventure is indeed the top of my list.
I feel like I need a picket line.
So many good ones.
Everybody's doing the no crab legs avatar. Sorry. No, Sonic Adventure's cool. What is the now the Sonic CD is that's different, right? Because I can't remember which one's which. Like
That's different.
and there it is right there.
That is my number one system is the Sega CD, and my number one game of all time.
This guy. Svelte.
That's right. I gave you guys a little. There you go. See, just a little.
Tell
Now,
us.
Sega CD is the cousin born knows. Cousin born knows. This is this to me, it's the best Sonic game that was ever created.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I have to actually revisit that and see if you're telling the truth. Right?
You've not played Sonic.
Like the truth.
You have not
kidding.
played Sonic Spells
listen.
for the Moby Go?
Listen,
I guess
Mr.
there's a
Astor.
lot of controversy over it, but I will see for myself. I'll actually do the research. I'm not going to talk crap because I don't know anything really about it too much.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the soundtrack is one of the best. The soundtrack was Spencer Nelson, who did Sonic. He did Echo on the Sega CD. He did Batman Returns on the Sega CD. He was. I always, and I joke with both of them because I do talk to Spencer as well. I do joke that him and Tommy are my top two video game composers of all time, and depending on my mood, which order they're in. So that's my, Spencer Nilsson made some incredible soundtracks, and Sonic CD is definitely one of them. So
That's awesome.
the level design is, the levels are huge. There's an entire element of time travel in it that actually changes the levels, as you play it. There's a lot about this game that I love. And it was one of those games that was not just for Sega CD. It was not just a Genesis game that they ported to the Sega CD and threw a soundtrack on, which unfortunately was a lot of the library, but Sonic CD was not. So there you go.
Well, that's very cool. Tari Creep says he used to jam over the OG Echo soundtrack.
Good one.
It is actually a calming, yeah. But what do you got coming up next?
Oh, me?
Talk to us. What's
I say, did you still have two left? You don't have to. I'm just wondering if you had.
I thought there was
No, you
5.
can't come in with just 3.
1, 2, 3. And I said Atari, my Atari computer, and Coleco. Yeah. I had 5.
Okay.
I had 5.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Canadian Gamer. So that's one of my runner-up games. Is Terminator Sega
People.
CD. That is my runner-up, and that game. The Sega CD version is different, also different than the Genesis version. They are 2 different games, and that is a hell of a platformer game.
So, anyways, we're gonna do this this giveaway. I do have a couple things in order, so I don't know. So right now, and I haven't heard from Live in the Moment, so we'll wait for one more week. So I do have I just knocked that off. Trying to see the sizes. I have a 2XL and an XL of the Amico Forever shirt. I do have another mug coming, so I could do the giveaway on that. And then next week we're gonna do a giveaway of a Amico Forever mouse pad. So why don't we do we'll do the shirt today, and since there's only I think 30 people in here right now, 35, we've gone way over. We're at 2 hour. We're normally
people are dropping. Yeah.
People are dropping.
Sorry, guys.
Well, I'm gonna get all this.
Evil's been scaring them off with these members all night.
He's been gaining us Silly Club members. But so what is our last Silly Club member? We got Justy in there. I don't know if he wants to partake in this. If not, we'll spin again. So we had our last one was, let's see, we had Evil, Backwards Man, Amy, Sweet and Tender, and Justy. Did I miss somebody that was a new member?
Thank you, Justy.
I'm trying to think and I want to, anyone else would have to be here, and I don't see. I'm just going to give her a spin. Is there anyone else that wants to, that's not a Silly Club member that's here, that would like Canadian Gamer? Do you want to take part in any giveaway or no?
If we've missed anyone, maybe you can add them as a second entry on the next giveaway.
Yeah.
They still have the same.
Yeah, 2 chances or something maybe.
That's maybe hurts other people's chances. I don't know how that works. I don't know if that's fair.
So I will we'll add Canadian Gamer on there because he just came in here. I'm trying to think of anyone.
I don't know my maths outside of number crunchers, okay?
I didn't miss any other. So we had Backwards Man I got on there. I got, let's see. So our newest is Justy, Sweet and Tender, Amy, Backwards Man, Evil Streams.
All right. We got to make sure you've taken Mike off. You don't have me on.
Yeah, we don't. Mike and Nick just won. It's crazy.
I just want to make sure Phil Adam and John Alvarado are ineligible.
Yeah, I don't have Phil or John on there. Well, it's crazy. We just pass it amongst each other. No,
they're watching the wheel spin and it all says Tommy, and they're like,
so if it's someone that's not in here right now, we will switch it. So and you know, that's just how it's going to be. Silly Club members, you know, you're a member, so whether you're in here or not, you will get that. Anyone else? It looks like it's mostly Silly Club, but I'm gonna go. Let me share this. Here we go. I still don't know what I'm doing. All right, there it is. There we go.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, so like I said, it's mostly Silly Club, which is probably at this point about 30 people, and then a lot of this stuff is if, as long as they were in the chat today, we'll go ahead and award that. But once again, I'm still waiting on one person from last time to get it. If not, we'll just flip it over. We'll have an extra mug then. So this is for.
Hey, since I supposedly won and everybody rioted over that, I'll take it.
Absolutely. You already have an Amico, Mike.
Doesn't work. You don't get it
But
the next week. No,
but it
doesn't work that way.
doesn't come from you. Didn't come from you, Chuck. It's not.
No, I actually going to hook ourselves up with shirts. Don't worry.
I am just teasing.
Which is why, yeah, I figured that we'll do that. So I'm gonna spin us here. So good luck, everyone. Like I said, if it's someone that was not in today's chat, we'll spin again. So here we go. Whoa, Scepter!
Congratulations,
dude. I think Scepter won something over at NLG2 a few weeks ago. Dude, he's on a roll.
So Scepter, hit me up either on Twitter or you can hit me up on DJC Game Studios at Gmail. Just to tell where to send it. I do have, like I said, I have an XL and a 2XL. So I hope one of those will fit you. If not, then we'll try to get you something different.
Yeah.
That cheer sounds familiar. Well, I think it's a Canadian Gamer cheer.
You know, we might want to look into, like, if people don't want to send their address. I know, like, UPS does, like, drop-off locations and stuff where you can send.
Yeah,
there's stuff that you can send it to a UPS store.
If someone's uncomfortable with kind of sharing personal information like that, you could work that out as well. We can look more into that before the next giveaway.
So that's going on. Yeah, so next week we'll do, hopefully it comes in time. Well, I mean, either way, it'll take a week, but after that. So we have a mouse pad and another mug coming in. And then I'm also going to have whatever t-shirt is left over from this. So
And if it comes in late, Russian Orthodox Christmas is in January. It's a good time.
But anyway,
That
so
too.
I think we've went way overstayed our welcome. That is for sure.
That was 2 hours ago. We're good.
Yeah. Oh no, you could tell. Like when it splits to the normal 70 down to like 35, that's when we went a little too far.
We have the same. That's why about 12:15 over on our channel, we're like, yeah, we're
Look,
down.
anytime people are hopping on,
we lost 3/4 of our chat. I think they all went to bed.
I'm thankful
Yeah,
for the people
I
who
don't
can come
blame
on
them.
and stop and say hi. We all have busy lives, so thank you guys.
Yeah.
But thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. We will see you back here next week. I'm still not sure if we're gonna do like an end of year show next week and then take the following off. But I'm trying to see what.
I will not be on for the week between Christmas and New Year's, so that the 28th.
28th.
Yeah, I won't be.
Why
here
don't
for
we
that
do
episode.
that? Why don't we do a year-end show on the 21st, unless we get some news from Intellivision, like some really good news. Then I'll schedule a early show, or we'll see.
If it's really bad news, then we'll just have Art come on and
if it's bad news, it's just
he can
Art
field your questions.
is bah humbug. But anyways, it is a Festivus miracle.
But we are all expecting some good news to happen at some point.
Yeah, I think that's what it's coming down to, is we're waiting for some good news. So, I mean, what would I know about that? I know nothing, sir. Zip. But anyway, so if we get some good news, I'll try to figure out if it happens after next week's show. Then if it does happen. So anyway, Art is the Krampus is to TJC Santa. Exactly. Yeah, it was fun having you in here, creep. That's awesome.
Wow. Yes.
Bald? No, I have way too much hair, man. I need to chop it. I'm about to shave back bald, because what am I doing with this? Like what am I going to do with this? What is it going to go back and do a ponytail again, and I'll have a nice like a man bun? No, that ain't happening. So it's just going to end up being shaved. It's in that stage where it's not going to be long. It's not going to be short. It's going to be that in between. I don't want to look like a soccer mom. I'm just going to end up shaving it.
You heard it here. He's going for the faux hawk.
I find tinsel distracting. We will do another one next week.
I'll tell you what, man. They better not announce something while I'm at sea. I'm gonna be on a cruise ship between.
That's why I don't go on cruises.
Oh, I already did the under. It's all shaved underneath, man. I usually do just the it's just kind of growed in. Yeah, DJ Mo, exactly. But anyways, we'll see you next week for a couple some good end of year giveaways. We'll give away the last t-shirt, another mug, and a mouse pad, and I know fun stuff, right? See you next week, guys. Take care.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.